want to wear those shoes. तो मैंने देखा मेरे पास पैसे कितने थे, मेरे पास 600 रुपये जो मदर फादर जो पॉकेट मनी देते थे, उस पॉकेट मनी से जो बचा के मैं रखता था, दैट आई सेव्ड अबाउट 600 रुपीज़. फिर दोस्तों से पूछा कि भाई आप थोड़ा पैसा दे दो, तो जो भी अपने फ्रेंड्स थे दे वर ऑल हैंड टू माउथ. क्या मतलब, लेट्स से it was like even more difficult situation than that, and somehow we were able to do 1,000 rupees. But the shoe owner, because it was always in a little bit of demand, तो वो shoe 1250 रुपये का था. He refused to give it to me. And that day I realized कि चाहे कुछ हो जाए, I am going to earn money on my own and make sure that I cover my studies, I cover everything else through my own money, and never have to go out and see a shoe, or like something and not being able to buy it. So that was my starting. वो मेरे को बहुत बढ़िया lesson मिला ज़िंदगी में, and that's how I started. Slowly went on to build a company, then did my BA Economics honors from Delhi University, and then went on to do MBA from Ford School of Management. While there I started building a company, and वो कंपनी हमने यहाँ पे पैटरसन सिक्योरिटीज़ करके, देयर वाज अ कंपनी इन चेन्नई जिनको हमने बेचा. दैट टाइम यू वुड गेट, जो आपका पैक मल्टीपल है, यू वुड गेट रफली अबाउट 2.5 times ऑफ दैट एज योर net sale. And with that, whatever money I got, I thought I have to expand my horizon. I want to go to a bigger and a larger place. So thought of what could be bigger than Wall Street. So wanted to go to Wall Street. So मैंने apply किया. I got admission in Stern School of Management, New York. And with that I went to US. वहाँ पे मैंने 4.5 साल प्राइस वाटरहाउस कूपर्स के साथ काम किया, एंड देन केम बैक टू इंडिया. वन ऑफ माई अंकल्स owned a very large enterprise here, and then I thought I'll do a JV with him, so that कभी पैसे का इक्विटी आधा छोटा इक्विटी उनको बेच दूंगा, so that हमें कभी पैसे का ज़रूरत ना पड़े. And that is how our game started. And in 2001 I started a company called E-Yantra, built it into a large company, raised multiple rounds of capital there, and eventually it got listed on the stock exchange. 2011 is when I had started Zaggle. Zaggle लोग बहुत पूछते थे कि भाई ये नाम Zaggle कैसे आया. So I realized कि इंडिया के अंदर everybody wants to haggle. So I said, what is the antidote to haggle? The antidote to haggle is Zaggle, is how we started. And then we thought, it's a great name. Why don't we put that into practice and see कि हम company का नाम ही Zaggle रख देते हैं, not just the website name. From there we started, and initial 2 years, 3 years were very, very good, beautiful. We enjoyed a lot. We were growing at a very, very rapid scale. And that was like, to me, it was like I am always a sucker for scale. So thought that as much as, we can grow faster would be that much more sense for us. तो पहले साल का हमारा GMV था 4 करोड़ रुपया, and that was good. By 2015-16, we had already reached about 32-34 crores, and we were short of working capital. Now the question was कि what do you do? We were all first generation entrepreneurs. Whatever money we had got, we had put into the business. So what do you do with that? तो हमने सोचा कि अभी कुछ ना कुछ तो करना चाहिए, because working capital cannot be one of your shortcomings to do business. So what I did was I went to my investor who had invested in my previous company, and he told me that see Raj, अगर पैसा नहीं है तो without पैसे company चलाओ. And for me that time I thought like he's an investor, he'll be excited with what we have done and will put in money. But he did not, and reverse he gave me this comment. So I was very disappointed. At that point of time, I just touched about 40-41 and wanted to ensure कि भाई किसी ना किसी तरीके से we have to keep the ship going. And while we were discussing, while we were figuring out, we realized कि भाई why don't we go ahead and use something called OPM. Okay, so OPM, but do not take it as a drug. OPM is other people's money. Okay, so till then, what we were doing is we were always going ahead and giving 30 days, 60 days credit to the investors, or to the enterprise customers. Then we thought, what is it, I can do along with it to the corporate customers, how can I put it? So there was, this guideline which came by RBI, और वो जो guideline थी उसमें लिखा था कि prepaid card अगर आप बेच रहे हैं और कोई prepaid instrument, so the money has to be paid in advance. So we started, Zaggle का journey वहाँ से शुरू हुआ, we went to all our customers, we showed them the, this statement by RBI, and that circular was very, very clear cut, and utilized that opportunity to raise, more and more from the enterprises. So you will not believe, in 2015-16, I had very, very little money, we'll just about be able to break even and, make very light amount of money. And from there, you would not believe, in one single year, we had roughly like about, 378 odd crores in our bank account, when we closed the year. This was all because people were, paying in advance and, utilizing our prepaid cards later. So that's how, our journey from there got built. But the real, Tridev, as you call it for us, were like, one was demonetization, second was the GST, and third was COVID. So I always tell people that the three triggers which really took Zaggle from, where it was to where it is today were those three, demonetization, GST, and world's best CTO, which was COVID. From there, in about 2021, we were doing very, very well. Markets were receiving us very well, and as a lot of players were raising money, we also thought that we will raise money. And in 2022, we got like a term sheet which would have made us a $1 billion company. So term sheet was from world's largest, investor, and he was very, very excited about Zaggle as to, what the opportunity is huge in US. You are building here, we will take you to the US. As everybody, would say that, you build where the market is. And that's how we started, but there was this one single point that do we really need to get into another fundraise, from a private equity investor. So, one of my directors, Abhay Pandey, told me, he said, this is, 2022, early 2023. He said, how many companies are there who can actually go public? Why don't you think of IPO? Till then, it had never crossed my mind that I would ever be able to go to an IPO. Because it had never, and we were a small-sized company. In a small-sized company, how do you go for an IPO? But he put that seed in my mind that why don't you try? So मैंने पूरा कोशिश किया, I figured out, I spoke to multiple consultants, and IIFL was like phenomenal. So they came to me and they said, we would love to do your issue. We will go through, all the possible checks and balances. See if you are, if you are one of the companies who will pass muster through the SEBI rules and regulations. So luckily, as it would have happened, we were able to go ahead and, then file for our papers for our DRHP, and eventually the DRHP, got approved, and we got the SEBI card in, 2023. But from November 2022 to April, May of 2023, markets just collapsed. So I thought, it is like problem A that I refused a private equity investor who was willing to put in, a large amount of money which would have made me, unicorn plus. Versus here the market has gone down and everybody is saying that, possibly it is not the right time to go public. So I said, and we had already, so what you do, money will come later, you plan first, you start hiring people, because once you get the money, if you start hiring people, it's very, very difficult to showcase the growth. So we had gone ahead and, done all kinds of investments, whatever we had to do. And, from there, our revenue that in 2023 was roughly about 300 odd crores. My first year, GMV was just 4 crores. Today I do 40,000 crores. So from 4 crores to 40,000 crores is like a journey which we have done in about 12, 13 years. Okay, from my revenue of 2023 when I closed the year, I think 371 crores. Today we are in just 2.5 years, by 26, I think we'll will be over and above, 1500-1600 crores, probably touching about 1800 crores. So the growth has been fantastic, it has been excellent. Now also as you become public, you come under scrutiny, lot of things which we could do earlier, today we are not able to do. Markets continuously look at quarter tak, Q say Q take is how they look at it. One quarter goes bad, then everything is matash. If they come, if a quarter is good, everything is up. So, but businesses are not built like this. We have to build businesses with a long-term vision. It is a marathon. We are just in the first 100 meters, of our life, and there are, many marathons to run. And in fact, as we have gone on and on, now we have looked at, various other opportunities which are there. Very happy to, say that we ironed out about, 5 acquisitions. We will be closing, those 5, and, the 6th one is in progress. With this, but the idea is that what do we do next? The next plan is actually in next 5 to 7 years become a $1 billion revenue company. Okay, and that $1 billion revenue company, possibly we will have to do lot of changes in the way we operate and the way we, we just today, as Nilesh Bhai was saying, that हम गोरों के आगे झुकते हैं, तो we are one company which has taken the cudgels of fighting a Gora called SAP Concur, who is our biggest competitor, and right now we are fighting with them in India, but very soon we will be fighting with them in their own turf, which is US and Europe. So that is like, for us, we want to go ahead and build that kind of software which is like, built in Hyderabad, but for the global markets. And that is actually, one of the junoon, jazba with which we live, with which we fight, and we want to make sure that, Goras can also start adopting, Indian software. And the plan of, acquiring these companies is also, and one of the points which Nilesh Bhai and Bala said about AI is that, one of the companies which we acquired is also on cusp of cutting edge AI, very cutting edge AI, lot of small language models, lot of large language models, they're playing with both. And in the coming days, of course, this hype about AI is definitely going to come down. It is not going to be, at that state as how it is. And slowly and steadily, how internet happened, then disappeared, and then again happened. So we have to find some very good use cases of AI to, make sure that AI remains in the market and is able to, we as human beings are able to take full advantage of AI. With this, I will conclude my session. Thank you so much, for giving time and appreciate. Thank you so much.